Hi friends, welcome back. So if you're looking for Elon Musk and Tesla drama, you've come to the right place. We got a lot of news to go over, and let's just jump right in. So first, one of Elon Musk's investors could be going to prison for a very, very long time. And we're talking about Sean Combs, Puff Daddy, Diddy, right? That dude. He's got sexual assault allegations against him, and this is coming from over 100 people. The lawyer in the case has said that they're going to release the names of all the people connected to this stuff. My first reaction when I saw this, I was like, is Musk tied to this stuff? So we know that Musk and Diddy know each other. We know that they're financially connected. And how deep does the connection go? That's the question. I want to go through some of the details of this stuff. And this is actually coming from the lawyer in the case. And again, it's over 100 people are claiming these things. And then Diddy could face a minimum of 15 years, maybe maximum of life in prison. This is from the lawyer. It says, "We will expose the enablers who enabled this conduct behind closed doors. We will pursue this matter no matter who the evidence implicates," right? They also say here, "The day will come when we will name names other than Sean Combs," and there's a lot of names. It's a long list already, but because of the nature of this case, we are going to make sure, and it's a D word there, that we're right before we do that. The names will shock you. And that's the part where I was like, I wonder if Musk is connected to this thing. Because we know that Musk likes to party. We know that Musk likes to do substances. We know that Musk, he walks around the office at SpaceX and says, "Hey, would you like to have my children?" That's the kind of, or babies, I think that's what Musk says. He's like, you don't know what this guy's tied up into, right? And we know that again, him and Diddy are connected both financially and personally. Now, Musk actually tweeted out about this. He tweeted out saying how many people in music and entertainment industry or entertainment knew about this. This is what's coming from Musk. So you could read this a couple different ways. One, if he's brave enough to tweet this out publicly, maybe he's not connected at all and has nothing to fear, right? Or two, he's just trying to pretend he's not connected to this thing and tweeting out this. So I'll let you guys be the judge of that. But I'll just say, regarding the Combs thing, he has the right to defend himself, but it looks really bad. It involves minors. And if he is in fact guilty, I'm fine with life in prison for these kind of people. So that's my point of view on that. Regarding Musk, though, he's got other problems. This is revolving Tesla stock. So if you've been following the markets today, you'll know that at one point it was down like 6% today, and looked really, really weak. Essentially, Tesla reported deliveries, and it was under Wall Street estimates. And then you have the other problem is that it just looks like they're making too many cars and not selling them. And so you got all these cars keep piling on the lot, and every time they report deliveries, right, they're just like, again, same thing. You're making more cars than you can sell. The other issue as well is it was very interesting is that Tesla is no longer selling their cheapest car in the U.S. market. And this is my understanding of it is it has to do with the way that we do the tax credits, right? And so if you have Chinese parts, and I think in this case it's a battery, I believe, LFP battery cell from China, yeah, that makes it maybe ineligible for the $7,500 tax credit. And so then Tesla's like, well, we're not going to sell the cheapest car anymore. And so I guess now before the cheapest car in the USA, Tesla that is, was $39,000. Currently, at least according to, as of now, if you go to the Tesla website, the cheapest car is $42,500. Now, why do these kind of things matter? Well, guys, if you're trying to convince someone that, hey, we're selling a bunch of cars, we're an awesome car company, we're growing, and you cut your cheapest model, that means there are less people out there who can afford your car, right? Let alone the other problems that Musk and Tesla face to where, Musk's original sort of like user base or what you can say, subscribers, fans, however you want to say it, were Democrats in California. That's just sort of how they started. And I want to make this clear. Some people said, that they were concerned about my language, so I want to make it clear on this. Musk did not found Tesla. Two other guys found it. Musk did, however, sue the other two dudes so that he could put his name and call himself a co-founder. So, you can debate what that means when you sue someone to be a co-founder. Musk was indeed an investor in Tesla, and now he's currently the CEO. But before I use the language of Musk started Tesla using, fans in California or appealing to people who believe in climate change. In the language on that, it's like, how do you talk about this said thing? Because it can be all true and also can also be misleading. So I want to make that clear. And I'm sure there'll be people who are upset whenever you talk about this kind of stuff. But the reason why I mention this stuff is that, like, you no longer have your cheapest car. Your deliveries are missing estimates. You're not selling enough cars to, what you're producing. There's all these cars piling up on the lots. It looks bad. And then you're pissing off your fans. I mean, that doesn't help either. Moreover, because this is what they'll say. They'll say, well, look, we're selling cars in China and other places, et cetera. We're so awesome. This is what the fanboys and fangirls will say. But you're doing that at a heavy discount, right? So my understanding is in China, for example, they've extended the 0% financing thing to get people to keep, buying their cars. But for all we know, guys, they could be taking losses on these cars or whatever. For all we know, we'll find out when the earnings report comes out. We also know too, say in the China situation, that there's certainly incentives there from the Chinese government for people to buy EVs, so that helps. But if these kind of incentives go away, or say, for example, in Europe they go away, every country has different sort of things they're trying to get to people to buy EVs. But we do know, say in July, BMW passed Tesla in terms of EV market share. The recent sales. We know that in USA, Tesla dropped below 50% for the first time on EV sales. You got competition from the Chinese car makers, you have the Korean car makers coming, you have European car makers. Japan, they're not necessarily EVs, but they have hybrids, right? So there's other things going on other than just like, Musk parading around, pissing off his fan base. You also have increased competition. There's that. We also have a report today. If you're watching Tesla stock, you saw it sink today. This is coming from Bernstein, and they were talking about, can the Robotaxi thing save the stock, right? And that's actually about a week from today. It's something like that. And we're going to live stream that. Please hop over to the channel. It'll be fun to talk about the Tesla smoke and mirrors and just see what happens. Last time they did like that Cybertruck thing, they threw the, was it the metal ball thing at the window? It broke the window, wasn't supposed to. So, it may end up being that kind of thing with Robotaxi where it ends up doing things that it's not supposed to, or they end up completely faking it, and we'll be able to figure out what they're faking, what they're not faking. It'll be interesting. But anyway, this is coming from Bernstein regarding the Robotaxi stuff. So basically, they're saying, Tesla's cutting prices on their cars, and will Robotaxi, make more money from them? Probably not. That's the basic gist. But we'll read some of the details. They say here, Bernstein, we think it is unlikely that Tesla will grow units this year, even assuming lower prices or very favorable financing, right? One of the things that we're talking about as well, because they missed estimates, in order for Tesla to, I think last year they hit 1.8 million cars, something like that last year. And for them to, hit the same sales target this year, they would have to have a record sales in the fourth quarter, which I think it's going to be unlikely. Obviously the fanboys and girls will say it's possible, but point being is they're not really selling more cars this year than they did last year, and they could even go down. So that's sort of what we're talking about here. And that's even if, they cut prices and try to, boost delivery numbers. The other issue as well, and it's the same, it's always the same with Tesla. We don't actually know how many 3s and Ys that they deliver because they combine the numbers. I've said that so many times on the channel, and oftentimes, essentially the fanboys and fangirls like to say, oh well, the Y is the best-selling car in the world, haha, and it's a bit misleading. So it's certainly, I think there's certainly some truth to that. They do sell Ys. I think they'd certainly sell 3s, but we don't know actually how many. We don't, because Tesla, again, they combine the sales of 2 models there. So why they do that, I don't know. Ask Tesla. They also then have another category called other models where they're combining, was it your S, your X, and your Cybertruck, their sales all together. Why don't they break down sales so we can see actually the real numbers, and say when you do a report that could be audited by the SEC, et cetera, why don't you just tell us the numbers how they're delivering? I don't know. Ask Tesla on that. But what I do know is that this is a bit misleading always when you talk about cars with Tesla, because let's say they delivered 1.8 million cars, and then all the fanboys and fangirls say, oh, they have the best-selling car in the world. It's so awesome. But it's like the way you portray that, then you're ignoring that, say, like Toyota says 10 million cars a year. So you tell me, guys, which is bigger? Is Toyota that says, say, something like 10 million cars a year, is that more? Or less than, say, Tesla that sells 1.8 million cars a year. So certainly Tesla sells cars. I mean, the numbers are there, but will that continue when, guys, I live here in Korea. I can tell you the Hyundai cars and the Kia cars are real. We see them all the time on the road, and the EV3, which I think is going to be a big success, will hit the USA, and it's going to come in cheaper than the Tesla, be better features than the Tesla, and you'll see it for yourself. The other issue as well is like the Chinese cars then can be also, so the Korean cars will come in cheaper, then the Chinese cars will even come even cheaper than that, which will be pretty nuts. However, though, to be fair to what's going on in the USA, I think there's a high chance that the Americans will figure out a way to completely block the Chinese cars from coming at all, be it, super, super crazy high tariffs, what they've already have done, but they could come up with other ways as well. So that may or may not protect Tesla in the US market, but in the Chinese market, it's going to be tough for Tesla to compete, let alone European and let alone Asia, et cetera. So I'll just tell you the truth, guys. Like places like, say, here in Korea or places like Japan, Tesla's not going to be, they're not going to outsell local cars. It's not going to happen, right? There's some markets you can't grow. And so you have to like sort of explain all these things, because the way that Elon used to tell everyone is like, oh, we're going to grow 50%, earnings every year forever. And it's just like, there's just a finite amount of people who can buy your cars. And again, you're cutting your cheapest car, which is at like now 42,000. It's not like everyone can buy one. And so even Bernstein in the thing here, they said that even, if they sell their cheaper car someday, it says right here, I'll read it. It says, hopes that a new lower priced Tesla vehicles, which the company said would start production in the first half of 2025, aren't likely to move the needle on demand. And then they also say the tweaks are likely to be modest, while a lower cost Model 2 arriving in volume before 2026 is unlikely. So they're saying even if you get your, cheaper car or whatever, whether or not it's going to, increase your sales or get it out in time or in greater numbers in time. Because like if they announce, for example, on the Robotaxi day, hey guys, we got a cheap car, it's so awesome. Like how soon can you think can they be pumping these things out? And you're talking about a time when like many car manufacturers are cutting back. I mentioned before on the channel, and I'll just mention again if you didn't see that video. Here in Korea, actually, one of the big electric car battery makers just fired a bunch of employees because just the demand isn't there. It's just not there. And so remember, Apple cut their investing into the electric car. They cut that. Other manufacturers are just like, man, it's just not worth it. Customers aren't showing up. And that's sort of where Tesla is right now, is like they only make EVs. And what if the market goes more to hybrids? Or what if the market is just like, I'm not buying anything over, 40K or whatever, right? So we'll see what Tesla can pull their magic out of the hat if they can. Also, this is coming from Bernstein. They say here, Tesla is behind in gaining regulatory approval for robotaxis, and it may be difficult to overcome without local ongoing trials, right? And that's something I've said before, guys. It's like if Tesla was really close to having an Uber type of vehicle, we would see it on the road today. Like you would see it on the road today, and then you'd be looking for the announcement to be like, okay, when are you going to roll it out nationwide? But like, we don't even see it on the road right now when you have other, companies like Waymo out there already. Where's Tesla? Where are they? And even if they say they announced the Robotaxi at their event, like you would hear rumors about, oh, they got this approval in this city or this approval in that city. We haven't heard any of these kind of things. Guys, so like, for example, when you get a new iPhone coming out, usually like a year in advance, you kind of know what the camera's going to be and know what the, new features and functions are going to be. Like you kind of know this stuff. For Tesla, like the rumors coming out is like, oh, they're going to do it at a Hollywood lot. It's going to be at Warner Brothers. And oh, Elon Musk is going to say that it's awesome. There's not really like hardcore evidence that they are ready to put it out today. We don't even know what the dang thing looks like. So, we'll see. This is also coming from Bernstein. They say here, Tesla will likely face the same challenges next with an older product lineup, right? They don't have to refresh their cars for a while, and competition further intensifies. Other thing that's going on, because always some crazy news, is OpenAI, as you guys know, is raising money for their their platform. I think they had a valuation that was pretty high. It was like 150 billion is what they're going to value this thing as. And one thing that's really interesting is, so remember, Apple pulled out, right, and of investing in OpenAI, and I guess Nvidia decided to dump some money in this thing, and then OpenAI, they're just like, this is interesting. They said, if you invest in us, do not invest in other companies. This was the headline. It said here, OpenAI asked investors not to back rival startups such as Elon Musk's XAI. And so you got a real fight here for money. And I'll be real curious if essentially all the AI money then goes to OpenAI and there's not that much money left for Elon. Elon could certainly, because he needs that money, guys. He needs that money. He may be, continuing to build more partnerships with, say, Qatar, Saudi money, Russian money for all we know. If you look at the list of Tesla investors, that's why I mentioned the Sean Combs Diddy thing. So Combs is not going to give Musk any money anymore. I think he's got his own problems going on up there. But certainly Musk could look elsewhere outside the country, because Musk has certainly burned his bridges in the USA. And there's another story, guys. There's always some sort of story. This is reported by the Wall Street Journal, and the basic gist of what is that it turns out Musk has been donating to right-wing politics for longer than we previously known. This just came out today. The basic gist of it is that Musk would donate money through like LLCs and figure out ways to try to remove his name from said donations. Because remember, Musk was trying to appeal to people who believe in climate change, who are kind of more left-leaning, etc. And if Musk's inclinations or beliefs are otherwise, he would want to try to hide said political donations. So evidently, Musk has been in the political arena for quite a long time, and again, he was trying to hide it. But the Wall Street Journal, because you just essentially follow the money, because we do have some election laws and this kind of stuff to see where money is coming from, and that's what's up. So I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts on any one of these things. What do you think about Tesla stock crashing today? What do you think about the Combs Diddy thing? And what do you think about OpenAI? So thanks for watching, everyone, and I'll catch you on the next video.